Um, just to briefly let people know what my profile is, I was a journalist earlier. I, perhaps apart from Sandeep, is the only person who's worked with television. I was one of the pretty faces of television, as it is said by my editor. He wanted me to do anchoring because he felt I was fair and that fits the bill of women who are needed on television and need to anchor. Um, so I started, I've worked with NDTV, I've also worked with NewsX, and I left journalism after having 5 years into the profession, after being in the profession for 5 years, and moved to Amnesty, and now I'm heading communications here in Oxfam. Um, One of the things that I feel that as a panel we've been discussing is that why have women journalists left the profession? Why is it that women join an IIMC or a university here and then do not pursue their dream, for which they have literally fought with their families a lot of times and joined in mass communication schools? The truth is that by the time we give them support, by the time we provide them any sort of help in their professional life, they have seen a lot, and they've felt that opportunities have actually been are over. So an example is that there are a lot of association and organizations for women journalists, but they require you to have a certain number of experience before you join them. So if you're a cub reporter just out of college and trying to get your way around, you will take a lot of time before you get to know the right kind of people who will support you in the industry. And by that time, you have lost not just your enthusiasm and passion, but also your resources, which includes monetary resources, to continue forward in the profession, because you're given a certain time period by your family to explore this job and see if it is working. And because the hours are different, you know, if you're from television, you don't have access to toilets even now because you're on the field throughout. It's a very different game. And we've not been able to crack it, and we've not been able to make it easy for the women who are coming into the industry. So one submission is definitely we need to look at those aspects as to, are we creating spaces, are we creating a support system for young girls who are coming into the industry, and especially the ones in TV. They are the most vulnerable at this time. Print is pretty much better than online. Print and online are pretty much sorted. I would say still, because there is a system of working, but women in television have a workplace environment which is much wider and much open. So if they are going to a district in UP, that also happens to be their workplace. However, they are going with one camera person and one driver, out of which one person can get drunk at night, and you don't literally know what's going to happen with you because your organization has no responsibility at that point in time. You're taking care of yourself. So that's where the reality sort of stands, and I just wanted to make that humble submission that let's also talk about making spaces easy for young women to come in, and what are our support structures for them. On the Me Too movement, yes, it has been great to see women come out, and I think the fact that a serving cabinet member was able to had to resign is something we should celebrate for sure. It's a great victory. It's come at a time when it was required, and the movement has been built on the social media at this point in time. However, the fact is that 4 billion people still don't have access to social media. So my fear is, if we do not capture this moment and take it offline, the magnitude of this movement is so big that it's going to engulf itself, which essentially just means that you need to have solutions for all the problems that these women are presenting very bravely. And each one of us sitting in this room on the panel needs to ask tough questions to the organizations that we are working in, to the people we are working with, and to ourselves, that have we been able to translate these things into something? I believe that some of you sitting here are working with media organizations. One of the first things that we sort of together need to do is ask our media organization, is there a gender audit that you guys have done? Have you found out what is the percentage of women in your own organization? Have you found out if there is a sexual harassment committee in place for it? Have you found out that the work culture that you are looking at is safe for women or not? Going from there to ask the university where you're sitting right now, what is it that is the power equation here? And I would go to the extent of saying that what is the power equation between teachers here? The professors, are the head of the department only men? Are they ones responsible for taking decisions when it comes to women reporting sexual harassment? Is that concerning? If it is, have we able to translate Me Too on the ground or not? Have we looked at things from a very different perspective or not? Or is it on social media? I mean, the fact is that you look at America, if I would just say, because the movement started from there. The person, there were a group of women who were gymnasts who took the doctor who was regularly checking them up and for years had been abusing them to court, and he's been sentenced to 175 years of imprisonment. But that has happened because somebody took the responsibility of going to court. However, we are not seeing that happen right now in India. That is also because the support system is just not there. The civil society organizations need to come out. We, Oxfam, others have to come out and say that we are going to support you if you choose to go to court. We will perhaps not but fundraise for your legal fees. If an MJ Akbar is going and doing a case against Priya, the fact is that I happen to be in the women journalist group, and it is good to see women say that, listen, we need to fundraise for her. Listen, we need to go in court and stand in solidarity with her. This needs to be done at a very large scale. And in states like Odisha, in states like Bihar, in states where women representation, as Sandeep said, is abysmal. It's hardly there. So my only feeling is that the movement is amazing and we need to capture it before we lose on to it. Also because the fact is that the young generation, someone my age or younger than me, they have so many platforms right now to look at. So if they're looking at a Twitter today, they're going to look at a Snapchat tomorrow. So they are part of the movement right now, but tomorrow they would want to be associated with any other movement. So you just have a very small window. When I say you, it's me, it's the journalists working, it's everybody else, to bring about a change before it dies out, before the people who are literally involved in it and have their anger in the right place lose their interest in this thing. And we also have seen a big backlash happening, names being called to the journalists who are coming out, not just to the journalists, but across the fraternity of corporates as well, women corporates who are coming out. They are being called names. So it is important that we hold the bar pretty high and see in this 21st century, moving from social media, how is it that it can translate into an on-ground action.